Warning, this video contains spoilers for Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek Online, and some graphic content. Okay, so quick recap of what happened. While getting footage for my Let's Play of Star Trek Online's Age of Discovery missions, I found myself facing off against a Klingon named Jahula, who is apparently
T'Kuvma's sister.
Which is strange because the show left me with the impression that T'Kuvma was an only child. So I decided to make a lore video about him and his family, and as I began reading through my research databases, I learned about a comic called The Light of Kahless. And that's when things went off the rails. This 4-volume comic covers the backstory of T'Kuvma and his sort of rise to power. Overall, the comic is kind of a dull affair. However, there are two crazy pieces of information that are almost certainly going to come up during Discovery Season 2. They are the true origins of Vok and the Light of Kahless. Before we get into Vok, I need to explain the family lineage of T'Kuvma's original Klingon house, Gurja. At the head, we have Daddy T'Kuvma, who is the father of T'Kuvma and his older sister Jahulia, and his brothers, all named Dahikheads. I know, it's a weird name. At some point, Daddy T'Kuvma dies, and their house passes over to their uncle, also called Dahikhead. He spends most of the family's money, and squanders their power, and is kind of a douche. Jahula and T'Kuvma work in secret with the aid of the local village people to rebuild their father's lost ship with the hope of rebuilding the Klingon Empire. Eventually, T'Kuvma is sent to Boreth to study the ways of Kahless. He's gone for several years until he returns for his sister's wedding to a Klingon named Delor of House Mokai. Before the ceremony, however, Delor and Jahula kill all of the Dahikheads and ask T'Kuvma to bend the knee and relinquish control over House Gurja to his sister. T'Kuvma initially refuses, and Jahula and him get into a duel where she attempts to kill him. Eventually, T'Kuvma agrees to leave with the ship and the townspeople to continue the dream of reunifying the Empire, while Jahula stays behind and merges House Gurja with House Mokai. As a year passes, Jahula gives birth in the most bizarre way possible, but there's only one catch. You probably already guessed it, but here it is anyways. The Klingon boy she delivers has the albino skin, and is none other than Vok. Don't believe me? Well, apparently the skin color of Vok is something looked down upon in the Klingon hierarchy, so Jahula tells Delor that the kid she gave birth to was a stillborn. Meanwhile, she had already passed it off to the midwife to be raised elsewhere. And let's be fair, you'd have to be a total idiot not to see the resemblance between this baby and Vok. This connection is later reinforced when T'Kuvma meets a young Vok and remarks about how familiar he and his eyes appear to him. So that's one big thing, and now for the other. T'Kuvma and his followers took to the stars and spent decades looking for the Light of Kahless. But with only myths and rumors to go on, they never located it. In the end, one of T'Kuvma's longtime friends reveals to him that he hand-carved a ship in secret for T'Kuvma to use as a stand-in for the light. T'Kuvma agrees, and they just toss it out the airlock and act surprised when they find it days later. Literally, they just lied to everyone and acted like nothing happened. So why do I think these topics will come back up again in Discovery Season 2? Well, for one, I think the T'Kuvma deception will leak out and delegitimize anyone who still supports his way of thinking, which could cause trouble for L'Rell. And for the other one, well, now we have a man named Ash Tyler, who was Vok, who is also the nephew of T'Kuvma and potentially the rightful heir to House Gurja. Also, he stayed with L'Rell, and they are gonna undoubtedly have sex again, and it's gonna be real weird when she winds up pregnant with a hybrid baby. It's like I'm watching an episode of The Real Housewives of Kronos. What a mess.